This is why it's such a great story. His football coach calls him, says, "Hey, I heard that you're trying to buy Mike subs."
Welcome back to another episode of Andy's Talk. Today, I'm joined by Joe Leavell. That's such a cool name, by the way. You have literally the coolest name I've ever heard.
Oh my gosh.
This is actually Connor, our content creator.
Yep.
A little fact, you coached him in 8th grade.
I did.
So you have that connection. Then you've known Ethan for a long time. So
Yep.
Ethan sent me a text, said, "Hey, I need you to get Joe on the podcast and talk about everything."
Yeah.
So welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. This is kind of like a special moment because we kind of come full circle, and Ethan's kind of celebrity, so I feel like I've,
So tell me a little bit about the scouting report on Connor before we start. 8th grade. What was he like? What was his skills? I mean, I need to know the deeds.
That's easy to do because Connor is the hardest working kid I probably ever coached. Like his motor, unbelievable, considering that at that time he was really struggling with some things, and like in his condition, it was like breathing through a straw, and he had a better motor than most people.
Was this basketball?
It was basketball.
I have seen some highlights of Connor like pulling up from the 3-point line and just
that was the thing.
balling.
Like he wanted the green light, and I would give it to him if he would, shoot the shots that he would shoot in practice, and coming one step across and shooting it from the volleyball line. Not necessarily
that was like peak Steph Curry era
that are
too.
High quality. So there was a lot of me going, I mean, Connor, you can't see his face, but I wasn't really a yeller. I'm not a yeller, but I would say that's probably not the shot we're looking for.
I could see him he probably had an arm sleeve on. He's probably rocking Curry's back in the day. I don't know.
I don't remember. I feel like maybe it could potentially have been one, but I loved having him and it was great.
So you coached at Charlestown. So what, and then we'll talk a little bit more about your business, but everything you kind of do is in Charlestown. What is the roots there, and how long have you been in Charlestown?
So I'm originally from Tennessee, was born in Knoxville, lived most of my life in Nashville, went to college in Oklahoma. It's a whole nother podcast. Moved to the Louisville area in 2007, 7-ish, and not from this area, don't know anything about it, and a parent actually said, "Hey, you're a basketball guy. I have a big basketball history," and said, "Hey, will you coach the Charlestown Middle School?" I was like, "What? No, I don't know any of these people." So they were like, "That's exactly why you should do it." Yeah. So I took the job, and it, my nephew was on the team, and then I met Connor, and then one of my friends, my best friend, his son was on the team. So it was like it just worked out really well. And then I coached at the high school a couple years as well.
Oh, what years were that?
I don't know. You were in school then.
Who was the head coach then?
Sean Smith was the head coach.
Okay. So
it was he had come back from West Washington and then wanted to be closer to home, and he did it for a couple years and then went to Providence. So, and I had just started ForeverLawn. Yeah. And it just became so much that I just couldn't do it.
Absolutely. So, I coach local high school too, so that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
but I love seeing all the connections there. So tell me about, you moved here in 2007. What was your first, did you start a company? Because that's, the perfect time to start a new company is in like 07, 08.
It was, but honestly, guys, if you would have known me in 2007, this is not the same guy. I graduated college, and 9/11 happened right in the middle when I graduated college, and I have a degree in aviation. So I went back to my hometown of Tennessee, and I coached basketball, and I became a school teacher. And I did that for a few years, and then I moved up here and couldn't find a job, couldn't get it worked out. So I went to work at Sherwin-Williams.
Okay. Is that the connection to Ethan then?
No, that's not.
He worked at Sherwin-Williams.
He did. The connection there is my best friend, Daniel Cooley, is a Sherwin-Williams guy, has been for 25 years. And he was just like, well, come work for me. So I became a store manager and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just not made to put in a box. Yeah. So at that time, that was the longest job I had ever had. And it was 3 years. Okay. So I left in 2010 and I got into corporate sales, and kind of the rest is history. But I'm an entrepreneur at heart. And when I say that, I mean, I've probably wasted or spent more money on trying something new than most people would care to admit.
But it was fun.
I learned a lot because you either win or you learn. There's no failure.
No, absolutely. Okay, so we're coaching 2007. We're here. Tell me a little bit about ForeverLawn, because that is a company locally we see a lot. And what do you guys do?
Oh well, we're artificial turf company. There's really only a couple turf companies in the Louisville area. And we started that. I had a business partner, and he called me one day and he said, hey man, I know what we're going to do. And I was like, what? He's like, we're going to sell grass. And I was like, dude, that's illegal. Like, we can't, what are you talking about? And he was like, no, man, like artificial grass. And I was like CBD? I was totally thinking. I was totally thinking something else, you know? And he said, no, like artificial turf. And I was like, I don't know anything about turf. He's like, it doesn't matter. So we basically bought a dealership. ForeverLawn is a national brand. There's 100 locations just about in every major city, and we own Louisville.
That's funny because my immediate thought was like, I didn't know selling grass was illegal. I was like, I was trying to figure out.
Like, what are you talking about? But I thought he was talking about marijuana or something like that. I was like, dude, I can't sell that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's illegal. So I bought him out a few years ago, and we started the process in 2018, but officially started in like 2019 where we were like really in business. So this is our 6th year or our 7th season.
Okay.
And it's been great. We're in Charlestown. We started in the Norton Commons, but it just wasn't big enough space to have rolls of grass delivered by semi. So we're out on River Ridge.
Is the artificial turf, is that a trend that's kind of coming around and you're seeing a lot of, or?
You know, it's crazy. Most people think that, but we work 12 months out of the year. Well, except what we're doing right now. We haven't had snow like this. So we're kind of, you know, got some indoor stuff, but mostly we're just kind of not really working until this snow goes away. But the number one selling area in the country for turf is, and when I ask this question, people are always like, oh, it's Arizona or Florida or, you know, Las Vegas. I'm like, it's actually Seattle, Washington.
Really?
Because it's so wet that people, you know, and everybody has a dog. So turf in wet areas does really well. Louisville's a very wet area. We work 12 months out of the year, and every year that we've been in business, we've exponentially grown.
That's great.
From just people wanting turf. So sports fields and apartment complexes when they put in dog runs. We just did Austin Fuel Mart up the road where they have a dog park at the gas station, and it's our turf.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Do you do a lot of sports, football fields, stuff like that?
We typically don't bid those because ForeverLawn is a premium brand, much like Andy's Roofing, and you know, we're not the low price leader.
Yeah.
This ain't Home Depot.
Yeah.
So if you want a quality product that's made in the USA, and you know, I couldn't say anything bad about anybody else's turf company, just like you wouldn't say anything bad about anybody else's roofing company, because you wouldn't be successful and be in business if you weren't doing something right.
Absolutely.
So when people say, oh, we're going to call, like our number one competitor is Lawn, shout out to them. They do a great job. It's just not apples to apples. It's apples to oranges. And so it's like, do you want to buy a Ferrari or do you want to buy a Ford? They're both great products. You're going to do things, but it's what are you looking for?
Yeah.
So when we do sports fields, it has to be like Floyd Central got a private donor. We're talking with them about doing their softball field and their baseball field.
Okay.
But if the school district called me, or Mark Loeffner, Greater Clark County Schools, says, hey, we want you to bid on Jeff High, I'm like, there's companies in the country that just travel to do sports fields. They're going to be half our cost.
For sure.
So we don't chase that.
Yeah. What is your number one customer for that, ForeverLawn? Like,
I would say parks, city parks, and apartment complexes, like commercially. Like we do a lot of that. We do a lot of residential. We probably do a putting green a week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So
I think you did I don't know if it was you guys or somebody commented on ours. We did a roof of a.
It was me.
Okay, a lawn that you guys did with the pig.
With the pig. That was what was that guy's name?
It was over in Highland Oaks.
Yeah, I remember that. Their whole yard. They did their whole yard in canine grass that lets the urine drain through, and they had a pig, and that's why I remember that. And then I seen y'all doing the roof on it. I was like, oh my gosh, like we did that.
That's great. It was actually I grew up to the house next door my whole life. Really? So when I got to the house, I was like, oh, I know this place, and they didn't have a pig when I was there. But
that's awesome.
You know, whatever.
Yeah, it's a small world, man. I have found that just in the dealings, like sitting down with you guys today, and Connor and Ethan, and it's like, you know, there's a billboard that says home of you know, Andy's Roofing. It's crazy to see that, but it's a testament to what you guys have done and what Ethan's vision is for what you guys are doing.
The funny thing about that billboard, if you guys have seen it, it was a little premature because we were putting that up because we're building right here on 403, our new building, and then we got hit with all these pauses and stops, and then like the billboard's just there now. It's like it was supposed to be like in conjunction with the new building, but now we're like, we're just gonna leave it up. The building will be up. We'll start digging in February.
It don't matter.
So we did ForeverLawn, and then tell me a little bit about your family, because I think before we talked, you said your oldest is 13, so that whole process you've had three girls. What ages are they, and do they go to Charlestown? And talk about your family.
So I'm married, and I have three daughters, 13, 11, and 9. And they actually go to Chi, Christian Academy of Indiana.
Yeah.
We just did their playground in
Alumni.
turf. Yep, you're an alumni. Your brother, I guess.
Yep, he's a senior there.
Stud basketball player.
I don't know. I can still beat him.
I don't know.
I've
done some shoot around with him, and yeah, he's pretty good. So they go to Chi, and we live on 403 actually. And I tell people, it's like, oh, you live on 403. I'm like, yeah, like, you know where the big Florida house is that doesn't belong.
Stucco house.
And they're like, yeah, I know exactly where that is. I'm like, I live right next door. And it's, the White House or whatever. And there's a huge Tennessee flag in the driveway. So that's it. And I just built that house a couple years ago, and I really love this area. It seems like small enough, but yet close enough to a major market to where you can get what you need. And
that's what I tell people all the time for, even us and traveling and shooting is like, you can get to Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Chicago, Nashville, St. Louis, all in under like 5 or 6 hours. It's a perfect place to live.
It is, and it's a perfect place to fly in and out of. Believe it or not, I actually have a corporate job too. I'm a director of a packaging company. So we have Jersey Mike's, ForeverLawn, and then I have a corporate job in, and I work for a bacon company. So we manufacture, when you buy bacon, there's a little L board inside, and there's only 2 companies in the world that produce that, and ours is one of them.
Are they both in America?
They are.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I will fly once a month to random places where bacon factories are and meet with clients and stuff like that. So people don't, it blows people's minds, actually. I don't even know how I have time to do anything, but it works out. So that's a good segue into like why Jersey Mike's is around.
Yeah, but what is it kind of like the corporate job? Would you say it's like semi full-time, part-time, or like what is that like? Because you're pretty busy.
It's a full-time job, but because of what it is in establishing the relationships, I have 5 or 6 big customers. It's about $30 million in business, and our plant takes care of a lot of the internal stuff. So if they call me, it's more of a, hey, we got a problem on the line. Or,
you're the closer. If you've seen suits, you're Harvey Specter.
I don't even know if I'm the closer. I'm more like the,
Schmoozer.
Connor can testify to this. And I'm kind of like, what do you want to do? Like, is that the play you want to run? Like, okay. Like, that's kind of how I'm, what do you guys need from me? So it's just building relationships. And people are really, if I was giving advice to anybody, it would just be, if you can sit at the table and make everybody else successful and not care about whether you're successful or not, you will be successful.
Yeah.
So that's very hard for people to do, because there's really only 2 types of people. There's people that know how to make themselves successful and people that know how to make others successful. If you can just be the latter, you'll. I don't think I've applied for a job in years and years because people are like, hey, I want you to come work for me. I'm like, well, I can't leave a good job for a good job. It's got to be a better job.
Yeah.
And that's how you can really grow and create opportunities for yourself.
And that's how Andy's Roofing is the way it is.
That's exactly why it's that way.
That's the only reason I'm here, and these 2 guys are here. And so
Ethan really cares about making other people successful. He cares about the jobs that he does and that you guys do for people that, when you do your Wounded Warriors or however it is, when you give away roofs and stuff, that's just one side of it.
Yeah.
They don't see the other like culture side. That's what really matters.
Yeah. That's so true. So speaking of culture and getting right into Jersey Mike's, you're branded now.
Yeah.
What does that process look like? I mean, do you look at a book and it's like all these franchises, you're like, which one do I want to open? How did Jersey Mike's come along? Like, tell me about that.
That's a great story, because I get asked that question most of anything. And ForeverLawn was really just a freak thing that happened to work out really well. But I believe it's because we have such a great culture. But Jersey Mike's, I was just a customer of Jersey Mike's. I had never been, much like the rookie here. And I went in and I had such a great experience that I was like, I jokingly said, I'm going to buy one of these. And I don't think anybody believed me. In fact, most people laughed.
You didn't even believe yourself.
I don't even think, I think I laughed, And that's another thing. Like, if you tell somebody a goal and they don't laugh, your goal isn't big enough.
Not big enough, yeah.
So I just kind of took that as, whatever. And several years later, I'd built a relationship with the franchise owner. The one on 62 is the first one that I'd went into. Great shout out to JJ. He's great. And I said, hey, man, let's do this. Let's grow this. Let's be a group and let's grow this. And he was like, okay, just joking. And I had went so many times, you get these things called shore points. where it's like a reward system. Yeah. And after like 44 points, you can get a free mini, or 72 as a regular. I have like 6,000. And I used to joke that I was going to buy a franchise with them.
With your points?
So a couple of years ago, I really just got serious about it. And I was like, look, a sandwich is a sandwich. A roof is a roof. Artificial turf is artificial turf. What separates us from everybody else is the experience. There's a sign on the door when you leave Jersey Mike's that says, thank you for stopping and coming in. We hope you enjoyed your experience. It doesn't say we hope you enjoyed your sandwich. Yeah. Anybody can get a roof anywhere. You can get a sandwich anywhere.
Yeah.
But when you have a great experience, that's what brings people back.
100%.
And so I just wanted to get behind that. And I was like, this will make money. And it isn't even about the money. I make $250 a week. That's what I pay, or that's what I pay myself. So it's not about that, but it's about, can I see other people be successful? So our general manager at the one in Charlestown that we just opened December the 4th, he's 24 years old. If he don't make six figures, he missed the boat because of his bonus structure and different things of doing to budget and plan and food and all that. But it's like, I want him to do well. And then his next step is to be an area director and get profit sharing from the next 2 or 3 that we open, because we're going to try to open 10. So we have the one on 62, the one in Charlestown next to JC. I'd like to do Sellersburg, Corydon, Madison, Jasper, Salem, Seymour, and then wherever else in between. There's only 14 Jersey Mike's in all of Indiana.
Okay. So that's probably why I haven't had it. I told you
that's why. There's only 2,800 stores across the country, but it's the number one.
Where's the hot spots?
The hot spots.
West Coast, or?
No, it was started in New Jersey.
No, okay, that makes sense.
And what's amazing, if I could tell this story really quick, this
absolutely.
is the greatest entrepreneurial story for anybody listening. This is how you become successful. So this kid, his name is Peter Cancro. He's the owner of Jersey Mike's, who he just sold to BlackRock or Blackstone a couple months ago for $8 billion. Okay. So
it's a nice little payday.
this is really good. And he's still in control of the company. And, he's an older gentleman. But in like the early 70s, he was working at a sub shop in New Jersey called Mike's Subs. And he's 16 years old. And I may have some of the details wrong, but this is why this story is so great. So on Friday, he goes into work, and his boss, Mike, says, hey, I'm selling Mike's Subs. I want to get out, retire, whatever the case is. He's like, I'm selling out. People are coming on Monday to give me the check. Okay, he's 16 years old. I mean, think of all the 16-year-old kids you know.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Okay, whatever. He goes home, and his mom says, you should buy Mike's Subs. And this was in the early 70s. And he's like, no, Mom, I can't. She talked him into trying. So he goes to all his friends and family. Everybody knew that whole weekend, tries to raise the money, because he had went to Mike and he said, hey, what if I buy it? He said, I don't care who buys it. This is what I want for it. He's like, okay, what do you want? $150,000 in 1973, which is probably pushing $1 million now for a 16-year-old. So he goes, tries to find all this money. Sunday night, he has to have the money by Monday morning. Sunday night, no money. This is why it's such a great story. His football coach calls him, says, hey, I heard that you're trying to buy Mike's Subs. I believe in you. I'm going to give you the money. Come over to my house. Sunday night, goes over. Football coach also happens to be the banker of their town in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Writes him a check for $150,000. Buys it the next day. This year, 2024, he sells it for $8 billion.
Jeez.
It's the greatest entrepreneurial story. It's the greatest. And what I concentrate on, the best part of that story, is his mother encouraging him to do that. And that is wanting someone else to be successful. Because we all have experienced people where while you're in a journey, I can remember when Ethan started Andy's Roofing, and there were people who were like, oh, good for you. You're starting this company, they're your biggest cheerleader. And then as soon as you have success, they're your biggest hater.
Yeah.
Because people can't change their mindset, because they don't want other people to be successful. And that's very hard to do, but it's like when you can get past and you love to see people do well. And I love to see Ethan do well. I love to see people do well. It's an awesome thing.
And that's the cool thing about Ethan too. And if business owners are watching this, the biggest thing I can just talk great about Ethan is so I have entrepreneurial spirits.
Sure.
But Ethan calls them entrepreneurs, and he hires people that have owned businesses. Dude, I've started and failed. I think I counted 13 businesses. But Ethan makes this spot that's like, hey, this area of this business is yours.
For sure.
Grow it. And then I still feel like I'm an entrepreneur, but I mean, to be honest, he takes all the risk. And it's like, it's so important to have people like that guy's mom, like Ethan, that want to help you.
Yes.
Or you'll never get off the ground.
You'll never get off the ground. And more importantly, when you do well, he's there to continue to push you forward, because it also makes him successful too.
Yeah.
Which is, don't take me as some patron saint, because I may only pay myself $250, but in 10 years, if you got 10 or 15 Jersey Mikes and you move them, well, you can do the math. You know, that's part of the plan. But, in the meantime, you still want people to do well.
Yep. What is this? I'm gonna butcher. I think it's, the rising tide raises all boats, or whatever that phrase is.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that. That's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. Like, even hiring 2 videographers. Like, we don't need them, but we want to help these guys grow, and it's great. And we get to put content out, and it's so fun. So,
and y'all's content is really good.
I appreciate
it's engaging.
That's these 2 guys. So
it's creative. It's not bland and boring, and it's big giant brands, or brands that are super successful, usually don't really even show their product. I think of Red Bull, Coca-Cola. They're great storytellers.
Yeah.
You guys have a great story. There's sometimes y'all's videos, you on a truck. It's not even, I don't even see a roof.
Yeah.
But I see it, and it makes people pay attention. So I would continue to do that. And myself, I probably need to do a better job of it. I'm good at what I'm good at. And
people don't know what you do unless you show them, man.
That's true.
So tell me 2 things to end this. One, how can people help at ForeverLawn, and how can people, are you hiring at, I'm sure you're hiring at Jersey Mike's because it's new, but one, on the hiring side, how can people get a hold of you if they need a job? And then 2, how can people help grow your business at ForeverLawn and Jersey Mike's?
Well, Jersey Mike's is easy. Just come and try our sandwich. The big thing that sets us apart from most, I would say, quick service restaurants, which is what we are, is catering is a big part of our business.
Okay.
And a lot of places won't let people have an account. We will. So if you're a business and you need a cater, and it's like, even if it's $400, and you're like, but I got to turn it into my accounting, I'll take the check next month.
Yeah.
You could call me every day and order lunch and pay me next month.
That's pretty cool.
There's not a lot of companies that will do that. We'll do that, because that's a big part of our business. We want to have a great experience and people to enjoy what they're doing and have great food. ForeverLawn, let's be real. No one needs turf. You need a roof on your house. Hey, y'all, you need a roof on your house. You don't need artificial grass. So, and I say that just because it is what it is. I mean, I don't know that I'll ever be a $50 million company because of that, unless we just change our model and do sports fields and travel the country. But I don't want to do that. But what we do is like to give people the experience, because, like I said, golf greens. Golf is so big. People love that kind of stuff, and I love designing them, and it's very niche in that sense.
And you're a big golfer.
Oh,
I see you Hidden Creek,
dude. I love to play. I only work to play golf. That's all I want to do. I was so happy when Ethan was like, "I'm getting into golf." I was like, "Oh, that's so good," because so much stuff happens on a golf course. But ForeverLawn in itself is, commercially. Apartment complexes, everybody's got turf somewhere for dogs. And there's less maintenance and there's so many benefits to it. And I don't want to make it sound like it doesn't do, because it's really my bread and butter. It's what I love to do. So, but that's how people can help it. And I think for us, it's just brand recognition. Like, we've been around long enough to where people recognize who we are, and that ultimately they know they're getting a great product and a great experience. And you work really hard to build a reputation to do right by everybody, and then you can ruin it in 10 minutes by not. So it's like, my dad owned a business when I was young, and he told me that you can always get somebody once, but if you don't do right by them, you'll never get them again. And then they'll tell 10 people, and they'll tell 10 people. And it's the sale behind the sale thing. Yeah. So just do it right the first time. And, and you guys have experienced that because you do those things.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming in, Joe.
Yeah,
guys,
thanks for having me.
Go grab a sub. We actually got some over here we're going to have for lunch. And then if you're ever in the market, we have some people on there that have bigger houses or bigger projects, or property managers. Reach out about artificial turf. These are the guys you want to hire. So thank you for watching. As always, hit subscribe and the bell so you know when we post, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.